Every winter, tons and tons of salt get spread all over our roads to keep us safe. And that's great. But while it's protecting us from slipping and sliding, it's also waging this secret war on our cars. We're about to dive into a really fascinating experiment that uncovers a pretty shocking culprit in this battle. You might think you know what's doing the most damage, but trust me, the answer is probably not what you're expecting. Think about it. With every single drive you take in the winter, there's this invisible chemical process just eating away at your car's underbelly. It's a slow, quiet corrosion that you don't even notice until it's way too late. So the real question is, do you have any idea who the real enemy is in this fight? Okay, so the main culprit, obviously, is road salt. We know this. It's a total lifesaver in the winter, right? It lowers the freezing point of water and melts all that dangerous ice. But that exact same chemical magic makes it an incredibly powerful rust promoter. It's basically launching this corrosive war on your car's most vulnerable metal parts.
And hey, this isn't some new problem. The whole idea of using salt on roads kicked off as just a small experiment back in the 1930s. Before that, all we really had were sand and plows, which, just kind of pushed the ice and snow around. But after World War II, using salt just exploded in popularity. And now, now we dump millions of tons of it every single winter.
But here is where it gets really interesting, because you see, not all road salt is created equal. The experiment we're looking at focuses on three main suspects that get spread on our winter roads. So, in one corner, you've got sodium chloride. This is the stuff we all know, classic rock salt. It's the old reliable. And in the other corner, you have what you might call the premium options, magnesium chloride and calcium chloride. Now, these are often marketed as being more effective or maybe even safer for your car and the environment.
And that leads us to the big question, right? Which one of these salts is actually the kindest to your car's frame? To figure this out, a really simple but kind of brilliant experiment was set up.
And this wasn't some complicated, high-tech lab situation. No, this was a simple, elegant, and super effective experiment. You can think of it as a straightforward race against rust. So here's how it worked. They took identical pieces of steel and dunked them into separate solutions of each of the three salts. Then, for 3 weeks, they just watched, measured, and recorded how much rust appeared on each piece. Super simple, totally fair, and it was designed to give us a very clear winner. Or, in this case, a very clear loser.
All right, now before we get to the results, let's talk about what everyone thought was going to happen. Because, spoiler alert, what was predicted is not what happened. Not even close.
The initial hypothesis, the educated guess, was that magnesium chloride, one of those so-called premium salts, was going to be the least corrosive. The thinking was that it would be the safest choice, the one that would cause the least amount of rust. That was the logical assumption going in. And then reality hit. Just take a look at this bar chart. After only 2 weeks, the results were just stunning. Sodium chloride, the classic stuff, caused 86% rust. Calcium chloride, even worse, at 92%. But then look all the way to the right. Get this. Magnesium chloride, the safe premium option, is at 100%. 100%. Complete and total corrosion. The literal opposite of what was expected. So yeah, to put it bluntly, the hypothesis was completely, totally wrong. Far from being the safest option, magnesium chloride turned out to be the most aggressive, the most destructive salt of the three. It's kind of crazy.
This data table here really tells the whole story. I mean, by week 3, they're all pretty terrible, with rust levels basically at 100%. But look closely at that column for week 2. Well, the other two are still getting there. Magnesium chloride has already hit the finish line. It maxed out at 100%. So it didn't just cause the most damage, it did it the fastest.
So why? Why did the supposedly safer salt turn out to be the absolute worst? Well, the science is actually pretty straightforward. Magnesium chloride is what you call hygroscopic. It's a fancy word, but it just means it's incredibly good at attracting and holding on to water. It's like a moisture magnet. This property keeps the metal surface wet for way longer, creating the perfect non-stop environment for rust to just form and spread like wildfire. Okay, so that's the science. Pretty wild stuff. But what does this all mean for you and the car that's sitting in your driveway right now? Let's turn these shocking results into a real, practical defense plan. The single most important thing to take away from all this is simple. The type of salt matters. A lot. Those seemingly better or premium de-icing products that your city might be using could actually be speeding up the death of your car's frame. Just knowing this is half the battle. So here it is, your 4-step action plan. First, know your enemy. that premium salt might actually be the worst one out there. Second, wash your car regularly. Seriously, it's your single best line of defense. Third, and this is crucial, when you wash it, make sure you really spray the undercarriage. Get under there, because that's where all this nasty stuff loves to hide. And finally, just be aware. Following these steps can literally save you a ton of money on future repairs.
So there you have it. You've seen the evidence. You know that this hidden war is being fought on your car all winter, and now you know who the most aggressive enemy really is. So the only question left is, what are you going to do to protect your ride?